Today, we're going to open up with something a little bit different. We're going to say everything that went wrong this season, this 2022-2023 track and field season. Might not have been here the entire time, but what we can do and what I can do is at least cover that. So the next video will be covering what went right. Then we're going to cover a third one that goes with the miscellaneous things like Daphne Skippers retiring and everything like that. But today, we're going to cover everything that went wrong. We had Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone getting injured. We got people falling over hurdles. We got potential people missing their drug tests and everything. So stay tuned for that because you are listening to Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes, performances, and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. Yeah, I've been away for a while, so I don't expect a large crowd today. I expect either zero, one person, maybe three, but it's okay. Now, shout out to you, Brendan. You said salute. Been waiting on the next stream. Yeah, I'm gonna be coming up a lot more consistently because I'm about to be beating the drum to Paris and everything like that, and then we're gonna be going forward. It's a lot of changes that are gonna happen on the channel, including how we do the format. I wasn't able to get it in time for this one, but that's okay. That is okay. Yep, it's a lot of big announcements. So I'm going to save that for the third one. But for today, we're going to be covering what went wrong. So without further ado, this one might not be something that we look on the screen for, but I'm going to bring this one up on the screen at the very least. And then there's some other things that I just could not find out the information. So before I even get into that, like Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, do anybody know what happened to Mujinga Kambunji? Like, what happened to her? The last thing I saw was indoor, and that was it. She was completely gone. It's like she did not exist. And really, I didn't even really consider to think about her until thinking about the things that went wrong this season. Like, did she show up at the Worlds? Because I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything from her. Does anybody know what happened? Was she injured? Did anything else happen? Because I'm telling you, I don't know. I couldn't figure out any information on it. I could not figure out any information on Kambunji. Not whatsoever. It's like she did indoor, and I just have to assume. I just have to assume that after indoor season, she kind of got injured. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Not not that. She did show up at the Budapest. But what happened to her this year? I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of a different person. And I said Mujinga Kambunji. I'll come back to her later on. But what happened to Kambunji this year? That's what I'm wondering. What happened to her? Was she more so injured? Because she went to the Diamond League and everything like that. I got somebody else's name right here, but I'm going to bring her up later. But I kept saying Kambunji. So my fault on that, guys. I'm already starting off pretty bad right here with that one. But ignore that one. So let's open up here where I should have opened up already. Let's put this on the screen. Let's put this on the screen. So we got Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone not participating in the World Championships. You know, when you looked at the beginning of the season and you saw the videos that I made, Femke Bol, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, I had all of those videos saying that there is no way that Femke could beat Sydney. I'm like, look, if you think that Femke on any planet, any day, if they raced this thing 100 times, Femke might beat her 3, 10, maybe. That's like 1 out of 10. If even that is less than that. That's why I did it out of 100. It's like, okay, great. She'll catch her slipping. She's got to pull up in the race. She's got to be injured. That's the way that I looked at it. I'm like, she's got to be injured in order for Femke to beat her. There is no way that I could have still predicted it. Even with saying that later on in the season, that she would actually have to withdraw because of an injury. Like that was kind of crazy. Like, okay, you know she's coming out to dominate. You know she's coming out. She's gonna compete. When she's on the track, what are we, um, what are we thinking? Because it's like she went and she's like, look, I'm gonna do U.S. Nationals and I'm gonna destroy and blaze them. 48.74, right in the 400. It's like, okay, now you thinking, hey, look, hey, she could go to Worlds and she's a contender. But then come along and it's like injuries are, especially with athletes, it's random. You don't expect it. So with Sydney McLaughlin, let me mark her off on my list so I can move on to the next person. But that's, uh-oh, am I buffering right now? Guys, let me know if I'm buffering. You're probably going to hear it about 10 or 15 seconds later. It's saying it on my screen that I am buffering, but hopefully I'm not. So anyway, let's move on. Another thing that really got me, I'm going to take it off the screen because I don't have her image right now, is a thing Mo. Now remember a thing Mo, we're like, hey, especially me, I'm like, look, this she's basically unstoppable. And then I started to think, unstoppable in the 800. And then I started to think, okay, why is Coach Bobby Kersey putting her in the 1500 for? Why is Bobby Kersey putting her in the 1500? Hold on, let me check this stream real quick. Let me just make sure that this is not buffering through, because I have a feeling. Let me join my stream real quick to see if I'm hearing myself. All right, we are live. All right. Wait a minute, huh? Okay. Okay, where are we at? I'm supposed to be live right now. I think we're good, right? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm good. So I had to do that. I clicked the previous stream. Anyway, we're back. We're back. We're back. The stream is going all right. It's stable. With that being said, yeah, a thing Mo. Didn't she say she was like struggling through a breakup? See, one of the things that I started with the beginning of the season is looking at a thing Mo saying, okay, she's got to be one of the people that is basically untouchable. Like, how can you beat her? She can lead from the front. She doesn't even have to lead a race. That's the all arounder, right? Now, a lot of people were hyping up Mary Mora and saying, hey, look at Kenya. She's going to come up. She's going to do it. And I'm looking at it like, nah, whatever, right? I'm looking at this like, there's nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. There's absolutely nothing to worry about, not whatsoever. But then later on, I see her at the World Championships, and the thing Mo isn't smiling. And right there at that moment, I'm like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. But remember, she's only 21 years old. I'm like, something is wrong. She is not smiling through these rounds. And if she ain't smiling, something's up. Because remember, the last season, she was struggling through. She was like, oh, thank goodness I made it through. And I'm like, well, whatever happened last season, she got double that sauce this season. She didn't come by with her signature smile. And I'm glad at least at the Diamond League finals and everything, she was coming by with a signature smile. But at Worlds, I mean, she wear her heart on her sleeve. But that was one of the things that went wrong this season. We thought, at least especially me and other people that were looking at a thing Mo, thought that she came through and that she was a shoe-in to defend her world title. Like, yeah, that's an obvious. But I had to question that because I'm like, okay, why is she not doing the 400? And I don't want to question a world-renowned coach or anything, but I'm like, hey, whatever. She was not unbeatable in high school. Then she became unbeatable, basically doing a 4 and 8. And I think she raced a 15, maybe once during that season. But she was doing 4 and 8, and she's even expressed like, hey, look, I want to do the World Championships / Olympics in the 400. That's what I want to do too. But then we're seeing her this season in the 1500. That's kind of strange. So there you go. Now with a thing Mo, let's move on to the next one. Now, I'm not going to put this one on the screen here. I'm just going to mention these two. So let's go back here. Now, earlier in the cross-country season, we're going to switch over to distance for just a second, and then we're going to come back to the sprint. Remember that Letesenbet Gide, she was kind of destroying everybody in the race. Remember, I made a video for that, and for people that don't know, especially for the sprint heavy channel that we have, Letesenbet Gide from Ethiopia was destroying the rest of the field. She had a gap on everybody else at the World Cross Country Championships. Then she kind of looked back, and then she completely collapsed. This was even worse than what's his name from Uganda. This was worse than that because he did it with about 1,000 meters to go, and then he started going from like, hey, I'm destroying everybody, I'm a huge lead, and then his body kind of shut down, and then he's going from first to second to 10th to 20th, and he's struggling. She was only with 20, or maybe it was the foreshortening, about 50 meters to go, and then she's got a gap on other people, but then she turned back, and then she seen her opponent closing and closing and closing. Got 100 meters on her. Then she turns back. Oh, wait a minute. She's 80 meters to go. Look, you got only 70 meters. Why don't you focus on what's in front? I know you're looking behind you, but focus on, try to draw through. As soon as she got past, this is why we look at the sport of track and field. It's kind of when we use boxing analogies, because she got the metaphorical knockout to her. She got past, and it was like, whoop, no more breath. It's like she could not breathe. She collapsed on the ground. She barely could move. Then her sports mate, so she got disqualified because they touched her. If they left her alone and they just went out there and screamed at her like, get up, get up, get up, crawl, roll if you have to, go across the line. They were looking at her. But Letesenbet Gide, I thought she would have at least dominated in cross country because she's one of those types. She doesn't have a kick, but she can run the hell out of you if she brings it to you. That's where I was looking at. And so for me, during this 2022-2023 season, that was a big disappointment. And that's what went wrong this season. That she went and she was dominating. As soon as she got passed up in the home straightaway in that World Cross Country Championship, collapsed, and then it was over. That's what I got to say. And from one fall, let's go over to the next fall. Sifan Hassan. Her falling over. Now, she went from second. Now, that's the crazy thing. How did Sifan Hassan go from second to not medaling at all? Right? She went from second to then not medaling at all in the women's 10,000 meters. So let's put this up on the screen with Sifan Hassan. Then we're going to go back down to the sprint. I appreciate everybody here. If you're here on the live or the post recording, what I would like you to do is smash that like button, let people know, share the video, because I'm going to come back. It's going to be more consistent now with this. We're going to do the road to Paris. We're going to talk about everything in between, the good, the bad, the ugly. I personally think that Paris does not need to host the Olympics, and they need to just give it up right now. The country is crumbling. All of these riots that's happening, the uprisings that's happening over there, and they're losing their grip, which is causing them to lose their grip, geopolitical grip, other countries, especially in Africa. So they need to give it up, because this is not unheard of in the Olympics. It's other countries that happened twice before where they gave it up, because I had to look this up. They gave it up and let another country take over, but that's a different video. So we're going to do that road to Paris. But here's Sifan Hassan. She went from second to like, all right, I got this. There's another gut punch. Look at this result right here. She fell to 11th place. She literally fell at the line. Then people are passing her up. So she's already going to be fourth. And then she's like, wow. All she had to do was, she couldn't do anything but smile. She couldn't do anything but smile, like out of shock. Like, I did that. She thought she was going to be able to push her opponents on the outside. And instead, she's the one that had the negative effect to her. She's the one that didn't have that. But earlier in the season, you thought, and I would have thought, okay, yeah, Sifan Hassan, people are thinking that she's overhyped. I'm like, nah. If she could compete in 3 events, which she did right here, this is what I'm thinking of, even leading to the World Championships. The only question I have for her is that She's doing all these half marathons and then she's expecting to do the marathon, which is what she said. She said, I'm going to do the marathon that's happening next month. And I'm like, wait a minute, the 1500 and you doing a marathon? Like, how you going to be able to keep, you're not going to be able to keep that speed. But I'm still thinking, okay, she's competing in all three of these events. Even in the 10K, she's not going to have the kick that she would normally have. So she's going to have to move earlier. That's, what I'm thinking. She's going to have to move earlier. But she kind of still left it down to the kick. She's chilling and everything, and that's good enough for her to get 2 medals. But what went wrong is she fell. I think that marathon training, even through with that, this is still amazing. I got to say, with this, and that's what I'm going to say in the next video, but honorable mention right now, the fact that she can still do a 1500 and she's in medal, while she got a marathon the next month, those are two totally different things. You can't even compare 1500. You never see anybody, marathon runners, come down to the 15 and being able to medal at all. So the fact that she can do that, wow. The fact that she can even make a final and that's doing a marathon, that's crazy. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go over to the sprint real quick. And if there's anything that you all would like to contribute to it, or what you guys would like to say on these, go ahead and leave that in the comment section in the live. And if I forgot something, or if there's something that I don't cover here, right? If there's something that I don't cover here, definitely let me know what you would have liked to see and what you want to see going forward. Because I might have what I'm looking at from coaches and everything else, as far as these events and everything like that. I might have my own personal views on it, but you might have it with your own country. Now, I'm trying to get this overall, right? Multiple countries, but I'm trying to get the overall, the biggest names that I can think of, the biggest power brokers, so to speak. And some maybe not the biggest power brokers, but that's what I'm looking at right now. And now, this next person, I said the last season that if they would be the easiest person to knock off. They would be the easiest person to knock off with this. And this is in the men's 200. All right? I was going to ask y'all to guess. But this is in the men's 200. You could probably already guess who I'm about to talk about right now. Because even with me saying it, it's still like, man, that's kind of a surprise. This is Kenny Bednarek. Now, he started the season, and you're thinking like, man, this guy, he's able. He was in the USA sweep. He still got it. He's kind of the calm guy. He comes up. He's able to execute his race. He doesn't do a lot of trash talking that's unnecessary. He comes up and he's kind of the humble guy that's on the track, and he just does what he needs to do. And that's a good strength with him. Everybody's not going to be the loud person. Everybody's not going to be showboating. Everybody's not going to come to the track and then they're going to be like, look, I'm doing this and I'm just pumping my chest. Okay, great. We can leave that to the Fred Curleys, the Noah Lyles, and we can leave that to other people. But Kenny comes up and he's just like, all right, I got to do what I got to do. All right, coach. He comes off that way to me. Like, if I were coaching him, he's like, all right, coach, what I got to do? Right? Okay, he's like that type of athlete. He comes off that way to me. Maybe you guys get a different impression, but starting off the season, looking at him through the season, he's been finishing behind some big name players. Let's look at some of the results that he had here. Right? All right, you see him in the 100 meters finishing third. He's finishing second. Okay, great. You look at his 200. Okay, he's finishing third, second. Okay, cool. USA Championships. He's in the final. He finishes second. Great. You're like, okay, Noah Lyles isn't there. We don't got to worry about a certain person from Canada. That's what we don't got to worry about him. Yeah, they say he shows up. But as I keep saying every year, I'm like, there's going to be a year he's not going to show up. And we'll get to him later. But then it comes through, and he's still looking pretty good. He wins his semifinal. No win, everything like that. But then what happens? What happened in that final that he comes through and he's fifth? Like, I don't know what's going on here, right? Now, he's obviously explained it, but I'm talking about me going through And I'm looking at this live, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's up with Kenny? 20 point, even with the against the headwind, because he ran a 19 something, and it was no headwind. This is barely nothing. So I'm looking at this like, okay, what went wrong in the training? Like he's got to go back to the drawing board. And he's one of the bigger names. He's obviously a world medalist. He's a very reliable athlete, but like I said, he is the weakest link when it comes to the USA men's 200-meter team, and it kind of showed this year. He was the one that was to be the one that's knocked off. He was the one that got knocked off. So let's move on to the next person. All right, here we go on my list right here. Oh yeah, I may as well do that one right now. We're sticking to the sprints, and we're gonna change it up. We had the men for a split second there, and we're gonna go over to our channel favorite, one of our channel favorites here, because there are so many people that had a word with me. They said, "Hey Nick, can I have a word with you?" If I had a manager, they would have been asking for the manager. "Can I have a word with you, Nick? See, you got this wrong. There's absolutely no way she's definitely going to run a 47. Matter of fact, she could run a 46. Okay. What proof do you have?" "Well, because indoor, she's setting records. She's obviously going to beat anybody that comes up to her because." "Okay, what's your precedent behind this of other women doing this?" "Well, obviously because she set the record, then she's the first one to do it. So obviously she can do what other people haven't." And I'm like, but other people with similar makeups of her haven't done it. Y'all gotta know who I'm talking about at this point. Come on now. Y'all gotta know who I'm talking about right now. Fem Cabot. That's who I'm talking about. That's one of the channel favorites here. So many people coming up, caping. And they got a lot of things that they want to say and say, look, Fem Cabot cannot be beat. Fem Cabot is unstoppable. I'm like, okay. In what world? All right. Fem Cabot could beat Sydney. Oh, all right. But anyway, this is focusing on what went wrong. Because obviously she's got so much behind her. She's starting off the season. And let's look at the results here. Right? Let's look at the results in the 400. She's setting world records and everything. Wait a minute. Hold up. Here we go. I'm like, why do they have this here? And they got this switched up. Did they switch up the results thing here? Hold up. They got the outdoor result before the 200. Hold up. Why did they put the outdoor right there? That was kind of weird. So I'm looking for it, and I'm like, why is it a 49.82 instead of... Yeah, okay. But anyway, that kind of threw me off for a second. Because I'm like, that's not the record. But here it is right here, 49.26. So she's coming up in the season, and we're looking at her kind of tear it up on the indoor track. Now, people like myself, I will say that I'm one of the people. I'm that person that was looking at her and saying, yeah, she's able to do that, but that doesn't mean she's going to come by in the 400 and just start running 48. Nothing, actually. That doesn't guarantee that she's going to run 48, but I pegged her at really 48 high. I think it was 48.75 I thought was the fastest she could do. You guys got the video. That's like literally the last uploaded video I got on the channel. I haven't uploaded a single video, I think, after that, other than Sha'Carri Richardson, I think. So it's literally right now, as the time of this recording, you can go back there. But I think I pegged her there. And you look at her outdoor, here's what she did, 49.82. Even slower than indoor. This is where we talk about how, you know, just because somebody's doing something indoor does not mean it can translate outdoor. And you got to be able to know or have a good look at the person to know that. This is where I was looking at Fem Cabot and said, nah, the way her training, how her coach is, and from what I've seen in her in previous seasons, I can make a rough prediction. That's a prediction is the best guesstimate based on the information that's there. That's basically what a prediction is. Because you got to use the past to predict the future. Instead of a guess, I didn't just pull it out of thin air. I'm doing the best guesstimation based on all the data I have. That's what a prediction is. So, based on a prediction, the data I got, I made a prediction saying, yeah, at best, if she breaks 49, I'm looking at 48 high. I can't see her, not especially this season. Let's get her other seasons in the future. Yeah, we could be talking about those unknowns. But right now, So, but looking at the positive aspect of this, the 49.26, and she's tearing it up, and she's doubling events and everything like that. And she's coming in, doing 500s, and she's doing very well in that too. Then she's coming out in the 400 hurdles, and she's tearing that up. Then she gets to the relay, the mixed relay, and she's up here falling. She falls over. I think that's what went wrong this season. Yeah, she might have got her revenge and everything like that later on, right? But when we got to talk about what went wrong, if you looked at her earlier throughout the season, you wouldn't have expected her to kind of do that, right? You wouldn't expect her to break down because she fell because she broke down. She didn't fall because she fell. She didn't trip over anything. She fell because she broke down. So you wouldn't have expected, even myself, I wouldn't have expected something out of her like that. She doesn't typically break down in races, right? She doesn't typically make those sort of mistakes. So I wouldn't have seen that to her. But that's one of the things that went wrong this season. So I had to mention it here with Femke Bol. We got a lot of positive things to say about her, even with some of the information that I just said. Now, we're going to save that for the next video. But definitely, we got to say that at the very least. Let's move on to the next one. Let's go on to Michael Norman. Now, some people, I even discussed this with a small test group, the Michael Norman topic, actually. And some people said, I don't think that's the thing that went wrong. Now, unbothered, what's up? I don't think that's the thing that went wrong, they were telling me. And then I was like, why? And they said, we didn't expect anything from him. You never know what you're going to get out of them. And I said, really now? Now, I've had my doubts in him, and I've expressed them. I said, look, the mindset that he brought in the previous seasons, like in Tokyo, like that mindset wasn't good enough. Not for him. Not for him. It didn't match the energy that he needed to put out. No, not him. And we saw the results showed. The results showed that, there you go, he didn't do anything. But then he went and became the world champion. And then he comes out this season, or he said, hey, I told my coach, I had a conversation, and I think it went wrong with him even starting with this. This is what went wrong. He said, hey, I had a conversation with my coach, and if I got a title in the 400, I'm going down to the 1. And personally, I think, yeah, that might have worked for other people, and I don't know if that works for everybody. Now, obviously, I'm making this in 2023. Who knows, by the next Olympics in the U.S., right, after Paris, maybe between that point at the World Championships or at that Olympics, we're going to see him as the world champion. Maybe we see him as the world record holder. Who knows? I can't predict that. But at the current moment, in the short term, I'm like, okay, what? I mean, the guy is kind of struggling to hold on to the 400. But, okay, that makes sense. Fred Curley kind of struggled in that 400, and he wasn't as good as Michael Norman. So he came down, and he's world champ. Okay, great. But something just didn't seem believable with Michael Norman. He had that really fast time at one time, but that kind of was like a one-off because he's done it other times. He's run the 100. Y'all let me know if I'm off base here. He's run the 100 multiple other times, but he hasn't really matched up to that type of pizzazz, so to speak. He could go faster than the time, but it doesn't seem like he got that same type of energy that he ran when he ran that 985. If I'm not mistaken, that was the time he ran. Um, so it's just like, okay, you're doing the 100. That's kind of random. But then what went even worse is that he's been struggling with injury. But you kind of saw it throughout the season that, you know, he wasn't dominating in areas you thought he would probably do better at. So we'll see next season. But he had to pull out, and he said he was struggling through injury the whole season. So he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna skip this, which is smart. He shouldn't defend his title. He wasn't even training for it really. But I think he could have floated through the first round. Maybe made it through the second round if he gave everything within him. But with that injury, it's like, nah. It's better that he doesn't risk, like some other athletes this season, running through it, and you got to have surgery, and you could have done it earlier in the season, but instead you wait longer. Audrey, they said audio is very low. Let me see something real quick. Let me do that. Y'all saying the audio is very low. Well, I'm listening to it on my end, and I thought the audio was good, but let me adjust one thing real quick. I'm gonna adjust one thing on the mic. Yeah, I had a problem with the other OBS. I had a problem with the other one. Let me see something. Oh, let me open it up here. I'm gonna open up the gain on my mic here. This will be a good test going for the future though. So let me see how that's going. I increased the audio gain a little bit. Y'all let me know. Let's see. I think so. I think yeah, I can even see it with there. But I thought it was maybe nothing wrong with the audio myself personally. But I did adjust the gain a little bit. So it's probably lower than other people, but I'm gonna leave it alone for now. Okay, you said audio's coming through loud and clear. Yeah, you guys are about 20 seconds back, so so we're gonna be y'all probably gonna be commenting on that while I've moved on. But yeah, anyway, let's go here. Let me go here, right here, right here. They said the Beijing 400 runner is injured. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully he'll be back for Paris. Yeah, I'm excited to see how our girls of Jamaica will do for Paris next year. You said I know you were excited for your girl Shakari. Yeah, I was actually happy that she got a win. Let me sidetrack for a second. Just a comment on the comment section real quick in the middle of this stream. Yeah, so I was excited that Shakari got a win to match her trash talking. Because it's one thing you kind of talk big and then you don't. Not only are you not delivering, you're not making teams, because that's even what happened last season. So we could say the other one. She's USA champion, and then they kind of target her. She's black, whatever, because they didn't hold the same energy to the white Russian. They did not hold the same energy, and this Russian athlete, they're like, oh, she's a child, but they age up black people all the time. If they're a child, they call them man and woman. So they age them up so they can terrorize us. And if they're an adult, they call them boy and girl. So then out of disrespect. So, yeah, you know what? We could argue all of that for her first season. But then when it's coming seasons after that, or even what she did leading up to that Prefontaine, it's like, yeah, it's not matching. So I was excited from the standpoint of that. And I'm like, yeah, she kind of wears it very good on her shoulder. She wears her emotions on her sleeve. But let's go on. Let's continue. I may talk about miscellaneous things at the end, but let me do that. But yeah, I thought what went wrong with Michael Norman, just in general, like his whole decision to even switch. That's what I thought. That was what went wrong this season. He switched. That's what went wrong. And the injury was only adding, I guess, injury to insult. Yeah, I don't know. He insulted my sensibilities in that obviously he's doing his own career, and only time will tell. But I just thought that he should stay in there, but this might actually prove to be well. So I don't want to beat him over the head with it. It might, to be fair, it might be well. It might be a good decision. Now let me go over to where we at. Oh, while we're talking about somebody that's hurt, remember Abby Steiner? Like, now I did call Tamara Beatner. I was like, look, she's got a number. She's hit behind her the whole season and everything like that. But still, Abby Steiner was like, yo, she should be doing something in this event. Everybody's, especially the media, is on top of her. They're like, hey, look, she's white. I'm calling it out on this channel. Look, we gonna call it out. All the things that they don't want to say. Oh, why Americans the ones that use color? Everybody else actually does do it. They just won't do it directly like that. They'll just do other things. You know how like they talk about they quote unquote migrants in Europe, but they're really talking about the Africans. And then they want to say trafficking, human trafficking, crime. They don't have to say, oh, you black people, you're criminals. They just said all the other stuff, but they talking about you. It's like, wait a minute, are they really criminals? Are most of them doing that? No. That they want to associate you with that. So that's why we're talking about it, because you allow something to have power when you don't call it out. All right? So that's why we talk about the things here. But anyway, Abby Steiner got injured, and she's a very good athlete. So I'm not going to take that away from her. Now, there are some at World Athletics that were highlighting her times like last season, but they didn't highlight the certain Nigerian that was actually running faster than her. You know? But that's to another topic. So, Abby Steiner. What went wrong? We thought, and including myself, I thought she would at least make the team. That's what I thought. I thought she would at least make this team. I did not personally think that she was going to be good enough to medal. I got to be honest. I did not think she was personally good enough to medal, and I said so last season. What happened? Then I said so again this season, and what happened? Right? Now, Abby Steiner started off the season. Let's go to her results page right here. And you're looking like, hey, she's doing fair. She's doing fair. Right? She's doing all right. And then she gets to USA's. And then she gets to USA. Because before that, she's doing fair. She's winning her races. She's coming out. She didn't run too many, but she's winning the races that she's in. She's running fair times, which are rather quick. And then she had this one time here, the 22:06 with that plus 3.1 tailwind. But you're still thinking, okay, she's doing all right. And here's the evidence right here that really solidified it. Now, this is when I was gone. But even though I was still keeping up and keeping track of these casually. This 22:19, the New York City Grand Prix and everything like that. Okay, if she's able to do that late in the season, only a month later and everything, she's running this. She's running. Here's the thing. Even with her being injured and everything, she still ran a 22:07 into a slight headwind. That's significant enough that we can't just say it's like nothing. A slight headwind, but she still finished fourth. That wasn't good enough. The USA women's team is stacked, just like the Jamaican team. Those two countries are stacked. If you ain't on your A game, and you could argue and say, hey, Jamaica's better, USA might have a overall stronger team this year or whatever, but those two teams are stacked. You cannot come without your A game and expect to make the team. That's the thing right there, injured or not. Gabby Thomas showed that last season. She tried as best she could. She just couldn't do it. She was hurt. And Abby Steiner, it was her time this year. Now, while being hurt, you telling me you hurt and you still running a 22:07? Hey, shoot. Let me be hurt and run that. Just imagine what she's going to run when she's not hurt. But still, that's what went wrong this season. She didn't even make the team. That in itself. Forget being hurt. Forget anything else on top of that. Just for just a moment. Not making the team is already an L. Not making the team is already an L. So let me check off the list. All right, let's move on. Oh, I forgot to check off somebody else here. Let's talk about Broadbell for a second. Oh, my voice cracked for a second. Let's talk about Broadbell. Now, he's another athlete I'm not going to bring up on the screen. There's a couple of them. Now, weren't there some people that were like, hey, you know, he got the Diamond League last year, so he can get the Worlds this year? Definitely. Of course he can. And you know what? I might have been one of the people saying he could medal. But just like anything in these 100 and 110 hurdles, that's kind of like NASCAR. You come into this thing and anything can happen. That's the entertainment value with those short hurdles. Man, the short hurdles, if you don't get everything right, man, you could be from the winner to you ain't even medal. Winner to you got, you're out. You're literally last. You hit a hurdle and boom, you're gone. And that's what he did. That's what went wrong this season with him. Everything else, I thought he was doing all right. Broadbell was doing just fine. And then he didn't. He was incapable of making it through the rounds. That was kind of disappointing to me personally. Because I'm just like, okay, I want to see what he's going to do. Not in just a one-off race at the Diamond League. What is he going to do through the rounds after having it under his legs? But then we got robbed of that chance. Well, not really robbed. He went out and did it. But metaphorically robbed of that chance when he didn't make it through the rounds. And I'm just like, ugh. I still don't think anybody's going to beat Grant. No. I didn't think anybody's going to beat Grant. Grant was looking decent here. He knows how to make it through the rounds. He's kind of like one of those savvy people now. Now that he's won so many times, he's kind of one of the savvy people. He's kind of like, you know, the athletes that get older and they're no longer the fastest, but they know how to psych other people out. They know how to get under their skin. They know how to just execute things when they execute them. That's what Usain Bolt was doing after a while. But he was also that much faster than everybody else. So his 90% is still better than people's 100%, really. Right? His 90% is better than people's 100%. So let's look at it this way. Now, another person that was a little bit disappointing, Toby Amasan. I'm not going to bring her up on the screen either. Oh, I might, but I'm not going to bring up on the screen right now. Toby Amasan went through a lot of stuff. She missed 3 drug tests. And let me just say this right here. They say Holloway is reliable but beatable. Yeah, I do agree with that. Now, here's the thing. Amasan missing 3 drug tests, I think that's unacceptable. Any athlete. That goes with Coleman, anybody else. You miss 3 drug tests, I'm looking at you sideways. Forget about it. You are looked at sideways for me. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, what you say, bruh? Okay. Yeah, you see what had happened was, yeah. How you missing 3? The fact that you even missed 2 in a row. What's going on, man? They scheduling it that just weird? Or are you like some certain fellow, they're not going to mention, that retired now, that jumped out of a window when they were doing a drug test. He jumped out a window and then went into a, quote, forest. That's what they said about him. He jumped out a window. And it's one of these, I'm not going to call him out because then this might be played. This might be played over and over. But y'all can do the research on that one. I'm not going to do it to him. I'm not going to demean the reputation further than that. But, okay, great. You got people jumping out of windows when they got random drug tests. That makes me look at you kind of funny. I'm not even going to lie. Then you got people missing 3. Then you got other ones that missed 4. A certain someone that just got off of their ban now. So, like, what you missing these tests for? That's what went wrong this season. At this point, I'm just like, you fought back against it. Great. You fought back against it just to get 6th place. Congratulations to Danielle Williams. That's great for her. Camacho Quinn getting second. I think that was a slight disappointment, actually, to be honest, because you would think that she would win if nothing else. That was also what went wrong. So it's two what went wrong. See, three actually. Toby Amasan just won as a person, and she's missing drug tests. Don't even bring that upon yourself. Just go and do what you need to do. We didn't hear this with Usain Bolt, and you would think, shoot, he's got a whole bunch of publicity things to do. We didn't hear this with other names that are smaller than Usain Bolt. Yet we're hearing it with the world record holder. What's going on? What is really going on? Then also after that, you're getting sixth place. Camacho Quinn's not getting the win. That's why I said congratulations to Danielle Williams. But Camacho Quinn, you would think, is doing something. Kenny Harrison, she always kind of looks good. I'm glad she got a medal. But she kind of sort of looks good all the time. And she couldn't get medals. So that's good enough for her getting the medal at this point. That she's racking up medals. That's good for her. But the fact that Camacho Quinn couldn't at least get the win when Amusan kind of dropped the ball, that was a little bit surprising, at the very least. Nia Ali, what happened? 8th place. Right? 8th place. I mean, everybody can't do it. Actually, Nugent, I thought that she would have done better. I ain't gonna hold you on that one. I thought she would have done better. I thought she would have been in a place of a medal. Yeah, obviously everybody can't get medals. Everybody can't do this all the time. But this whole race, I might just pull up the results at the very least on the screen. I think I'll do that because there's so many people here that I could have an image here. Yes, the win did come out of nowhere. That's why I'm just like, that was kind of unexpected. That's why she's going to be on What Went Right on the next live stream that I do. But here's the results here, and you're looking at this like, okay. Williams? Really? I thought Nugent. Camacho Quinn would have been my first pick. Amusan was kind of the surprise last year. Because that world record, like all world records are kind of surprises, really. You can kind of expect world records to happen, but it's still kind of random. Toby Amusan showed absolutely nothing last year of any hint that she was going to break the world record. Not whatsoever. But if you think about the women's 100-meter hurdles, hasn't people done that? Haven't they already done that like Kenny Harrison? Haven't they kind of just done that randomly? So the women's 100-meter hurdles is one of those events where kind of random things happen. If you really think about it. That's where random things happen. If you really think about it. Oh, by the way, the Asian Games are going on right now. So track and field is still going on. The Asian Games are going on. India's kind of whining and complaining and saying China, you know, the geopolitical thing between both of them. India's kind of doing this, I'm tiptoeing with the U.S. and not tiptoeing with the U.S. So they're kind of complaining against China a lot. But the Asian Games are going, so there's an aside here. There's a reason why I'm bringing it up, because they're saying that China is holding them back and being unfair with the refs, and that might be true. That might be true. It could be the case, because you know how some places are biased, but it just seems kind of very specific in targeting China. I don't know. They kind of got their own thing. But if you want to watch some more track and field, it is going on right now. October, yes, believe it or not. Track and field is still going on in October. The Asian Games are going on. Some people just love watching all the track and field. I like watching the Asian Games as I've caught up to it in years past. I like watching European Championships, all of the championships that are going on worldwide. I actually enjoy watching the different ones. Not so much as the European Championships. I enjoy other ones more than that, actually. But European Championships has so many different nations that I do enjoy watching. The Africa Games. Sometimes it's called All Africa Games. But yeah, let's get back on this. The women's 100-meter hurdles is kind of like a random thing. So anything can go wrong. It's kind of easy to point out to this and be like, this went wrong this season. Yes, Camacho Quinn not winning. That's what went wrong. Almosan not winning and missing those drug tests. Those are the two things that went wrong. But Nugent not getting a medal. That right there, that's a surprise. I thought she was going to get a medal. So let me move on from this. I kind of beat this one a little bit. Let me read the comment section. They said these other girls have been performing well and posting amazing times all season, especially Harrison. Yeah, Harrison always. I mean, look, let me do it this way. Harrison is always showing up, y'all. Harrison's always showing up with good times. That's the thing. She's always showing up. It's just when the championships come around, where is she at? That's kind of where it is. Kind of like Asafa Powell. I hate to beat up on him. He's the proverbial person that I always bring up, but she can medal. He would run really well throughout the season, and then he just didn't show up later. That's unfortunate. He just didn't show up later. Now, getting back to somebody else that didn't show up. Fred Curley in the men's 100. Just Fred Curley in general. He kind of just was nowhere. Just like this whole season, he's been quiet. For as boisterous as he was trying to be last year, and I said it didn't really match his personality. Like, his personality ain't really that type. He's kind of like he could hold the arrogant face. He could hold the really confident face, but he's not the I'm gonna beat my chest type. Like, he tried it a little bit, but I don't think that really matches him. It doesn't. It does not match his current marketing, his current way that he is now. It doesn't match him whatsoever. I'm like, anything like that seemed kind of forced. I gotta be honest, it seemed kind of forced. Let's look at his results this year, right? Because he started kind of late in the season, so he's probably doing a DeGrasse thing. He's like, look, I'm big name, I'm this, whatever, so I could go later on. Okay, great. He's running 988. He didn't really show any particularly fast times leading up to the World Championships whatsoever. His fastest time leading up to that was 988. And to be honest, like, where was he at? Now, I gotta say that hamstring, if I'm not mistaken, it was hamstring injury that he got last year. The strain that he got in that 200, that's got to be clear that it carried over to this season. Whatever training, because think about it like this. The training, he lost training to keep himself more sharp from one season to the next. Because if you can't build on a body of work from one season to the next one and the next one and the next one and build up on your foundation, and you got to restart because you're getting injured, that does come to play. Now, obviously, it wasn't the most major injury because he was able to continue to compete this season. And then also looking at his 200, 1986, that ain't a slouch. Actually, that would do him better in the 200 than his 100 time was, with the way the world is running so fast now. But that was only good enough for 4th place. That was only good enough for 4th. And that's the problem that we're facing with Fred Curley. He's not really been able to do anything. And he said, he's expressed it, he wants to go back up and get that 400 world record. Okay, great, fantastic. He's going up and down. That's what he wants to do with his career. He can still get medals on the relay team. Okay, great. And even if you look at his 400 time, that actually would have been like, okay, he's kind of strong now. You would think his 200 would be okay, and it showed. His 200, like I said, is a better showing, in my opinion, compared on the world stage than his 100. Now, Fred Curley, to be honest, that was a big disappointment. A big disappointment. You would expect the world champion, the Olympic silver medalist, to come through and do something, right? You would expect them to make the final at the world championships, but he didn't. Now, if this was a certain somebody from Italy, wouldn't we have heard people trash talk him? Oh, see, that's why he can't make it. Look at him. But we're not seeing that with him. Why? Why are we not giving the same treatment to Fred Curley that we gave to Marcel Jacobs? Because Jacobs won and he's an Olympic champion. It ain't Paris yet. He's an Olympic champ. Fred Curley's the world champ. Neither one of them were able to do nothing this season. Right? Neither one of them were able to do anything this season. Yet we're not going to get the same energy to Curley. Maybe because he's on Team USA and he's got better chances and more chances to get medals. Maybe that's it. Kumo, shout out to you. Yep, I'm coming back. I'm going to be a lot more consistent. I think we're going to have a small community crowd now going forward. You know, that's going to happen, but it's fine. It's fine. But anyway, let's move on from that. That's Fred Curley. We've talked about Brabell. I think I'm just about at the end. Is there anything else you guys all want to talk about what went wrong? I think I actually exhausted everything on my list. Oh, Shericka Jackson. Let's just talk about that for a second. There was a lot of people, and I said this in the comment section, and then they said, oh yeah, I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, Shericka Jackson. Ken, shout out to you, £2. We got £2 in the super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You've always held us down on the channel. Typically, when I do the lives, you come in and you're always doing donations every few lives that we do. So shout out to you with the £2. That does help. Now, let me read the comment here. You said, I think people are less strict with Jacobs because of how he started his season. Fred opened with a 9.88. Marcel only ran a 10.2 and a 10.3 as an opener. No, what I'm talking about here is that they're harder on Jacobs. That's what it is. When Jacobs does something wrong, you see people be harder on him. That's what I'm talking about. But he's the Olympic champion. And currently in track and field, Olympics is a bigger name and more important than world championships, you know. Plus, Jacobs is getting quicker during the season, so I guess that's why people aren't harsh with him, including myself. I just mean the general sentiment, especially with other YouTubers and just people on the internet being harder on him. That's what I mean. That's what was happening. Once they beat him down and he's kind of not there or a factor anymore, then they can leave him alone. They kind of did that with Sha'Carri Richardson. It was like after she wasn't a factor, then they were like, we'll move on to somebody else. But getting on to this with Shericka. Let's go here with Shericka Jackson, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price. Let's go there. Now, did not call last year. I said, aren't we on injury watch? I said Shelly Ann is kind of up there. We're on injury watch with her. Let's actually look at here and just look at time-wise where we're at. Let's just look time-wise where we are. So we go by this list, which was not like this at first. It was not like this at first. Shericka Jackson did not have this 1065, obviously, because Sha'Carri even did it against the wind. Shericka Jackson did it with the wind behind her. All right. She did it with the wind behind her. But you're looking at these two athletes, and people did not realize. I guess this is what went wrong, although I technically wouldn't say it went wrong. Shericka Jackson not winning the World Championships would be one perspective of what went wrong. Me personally, I don't see it that way, and here's the reason why. Every time Shericka Jackson and Sha'Carri Richardson matched up in a race, Sha'Carri Richardson beat the bricks off of Shericka Jackson. Not just won, but beat the bricks most of the time. Some of the time she just won, but she beat the bricks off of Shericka Jackson. If you're like in a boxing match and you got a matchup between the two competitors, and every time they showing up, you're like, all right, this person's beating the other person down. They're winning, they're winning, they're winning. Okay, great. What do you think they're going to do during the championship section of their boxing arena? Something's going to happen different? I didn't see that from Shericka Jackson. I didn't see an adjustment from her whatsoever in her races. There was no adjustment that I could see visually. because you can see adjustments, and you can say this person has their number. That's what I was talking about with Abby Steiner and Clark and other athletes. You could see adjustments, and I'm like, I see this person. I see their coaches talking to them. I see them adjusting, and they're finishing behind them. I didn't see that from Shericka Jackson. It was kind of like we started and we're finished. That's what her races were. We start, we finish. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, she was basically a no-show the entire season. Like, she was just like, yo, what's going on with her? She ran the last possible race she could run. But then it comes to find out, like she said before, I said it last season, and once again, I gotta say, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price has struggled with that injury problem that she never got over. She's never taken off enough time to fix her toe injury, which obviously she can have other injuries. But the fact that she's never really fixed her toe injury and never really fixed some of her other injuries and was still able to run these fantastically fast times over the years and manage that just shows a testament to her as her body, her as an athlete, her coach that was previously there with her, her coach right now. That shows a testament to the whole preparation, her whole team, herself, her husband, her, everything that's involved that's been there. Whether some of them changed or not, because she is still her, but different coaches can produce different results. That's a testament to her, that she's able to hold it together. Elaine Thompson-Herah, that's what went wrong this season. Just her. That's what went wrong. Just her. Yeah, she started to pull it together after. But when we're talking about this season, we're talking about world championships. That's what I really mean by what went wrong this season. I should have clarified that at the beginning here. Elaine Thompson-Herah, I don't expect much of her during non-Olympic years. I really don't. I really don't. I've learned it over. She's conditioned me not to expect it. Last year, her getting medals, I was like, oh, nice. Because last time she got a medal was when she raced against skippers, and she was second. After that, she ain't getting medals on relays. She can maybe individual. Individual, nah. So I didn't expect much, but then she kind of gave us hope last year. It's like, yay, she's gonna be able to do it. She's got it dialed in, and then this season, oh my goodness. Yep. Ta Lou, no expectations from her at all. I don't expect her to. I don't expect her to do anything at all. Dina Asher-Smith, that was another disappointment. I would have thought that she would do something different. And in all honesty, what do you guys think about this? I think she needs to stop training in London. Why do we keep seeing these injury-prone athletes come out of London or out of these colder climates? Go somewhere else. Train somewhere warmer. Leave your home. I know you want to have your home just for a year or two, a season or two. Get it together so you can build a body of work so you don't have to rush up and reach near your personal best times, Dina. You're getting at your personal. Last season you matched your personal best. This season you're near your personal best. But you keep getting injured. You can't improve on your body of work. You should have been a 10-7 athlete, arguably a 10-6, based on some of the other things that we see here. Or at the very least, that 200 need to be faster. Something's got to give. But you can't build on it. Elaine Thompson-Herah keeps getting injured, but she's able to hold it together for Olympic years at the very least. You ain't doing it. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price went wrong this season because she got injured. That's what went wrong with her. Shericka Jackson fumbled the ball. We were like, okay, well, some people, I didn't see it this way, but I'm speaking from their perspective, saying, okay, if Shelly Ann isn't there, if Elaine isn't there, Shericka Jackson's holding the crown at the very least. And this is what I told y'all about this with Jamaica. I'm like, beyond Elaine and Shelly Ann, Jamaica doesn't really have somebody right now to take the spot to win. I literally said that all season last season. And it showed right here. As soon as Shericka wasn't there, now you could argue if Sha'Carri Richardson wasn't there, but Sha'Carri Richardson exists, so there you go. This is what we were talking about. Let me look at the comments here. I know nobody expects that. Now say, do you think Sha'Carri will end her career as one of the best of all time? Like, by the time she's retired, she can be put in the same conversation as Bolt, Lewis, Frazier, Price, and Gatlin. Okay, let me do this this way. Some people will be angry that you just even mentioned Gatlin in a conversation with those people. I think some people gonna be upset that you mentioned Gatlin there. But let me do it this way. After I finish this, we're gonna go into a little bit of the overtime, because this is pretty much the last topic I got here, and then I'm gonna say something. It's gonna make some people angry. I might make a snippet of this in the future, or I might not. You said, I feel Dina has to improve her technique. I've been watching her for years, and I see technical faults that stop her breaking 10-8. Yeah, you know what? Some other 100-meter coaches that I trust that have gotten athletes to run that shouldn't otherwise be even breaking 11 to run 10 low, and other athletes to get to breaking 10 that couldn't break 10, they're like a 10-3, and then now they're like a 9-9 something. They were saying something similar to that. And what was that they said that she runs? Dang, I forgot the word that they were basically summing it up, because it was more than one coach, and it was even my friend. He was saying that as a sprinter himself that does masters. They all said basically the same word, and I'm like, huh. So many different people are looking at her. Obviously, they're all sprinters and sprint coaches, and they're seeing this, and they use the same word. Now, I would have used a different word for it, but now I'm going blank now that I think about it. And I said, well, she kind of runs like she runs like she gallops or something like that. But then you can see Sha'Carri Richardson is like, nope, 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 nope. She's the one that runs like that. No, she's the one that runs like that. Here's the thing that is wrong with Dina. The 100 may not be her event, and the 200 may be better. She runs too far leaning forward. There we go. There's one thing about her. She runs forward. She's still leaning forward too much. I think even for her makeup, she kind of runs like her ass is bigger than it is. That's the way I'm looking at it. If y'all ever looked at her and you can see her running leaning forward as she's doing the 60, and you see a lot of athletes leaning forward during the 60, yeah. But to be honest, in my opinion, looking at Dina, but this might be the way her hips are placed and however her spine is aligned. So maybe she can't help but do that. But I think that her forward lean is taking away a couple of centimeters on each one of her steps. That right there would get her down to a 10-7 from my perspective. Looking at these, I'm like, there you go. Just adjust where your lean and your posture is, because then you're able to then take longer strides, lift your knees up higher or something like that. But that's just the perspective there. Track Sports Entertainment, shout out to you. Now, you said, I mean, Gatlin has done it for a long time. I think he deserves his flowers. I love that guy, man. You said, yeah. I mean, he has done. I was like, man, this dude was here. He's here longer than Alice and Felix. He was there longer than Alice and Felix, or the equivalent amount of time. Obviously, he was banned, but he was there either equivalent amount of time or there longer than Alice and Felix. It's like, dang. Now, here's something that I'm gonna say here. When you asked the question about Sha'Carri Richardson, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave this on the screen and just have this short, maybe monologue or something like that. If you guys are just joining the stream, smash the like button, share it with other people. We are gonna be here consistently. Today is what went wrong this 2022-2023 track and field season. And oh yeah, track and field is still going on. The Asia Games are going on. So maybe you guys want to check out some more track and field. And I'm looking at these like this. Every championship is not going to be world records and the best times this, best times that. Not everybody's going to do it. You don't go to your job and then be like, yeah, I'm the best here. Because it's harder to measure at some levels. At some levels, it's harder to measure. You're just like, I'm trying to do well in my neck of the woods compared to the people around me. So the Asia Games, they're gonna have events that they're better in, right? They're gonna have a few events that they're better in. There's a couple of events that they're good in, or that they compete internationally, and then they're gonna have events that, to an international standard, to Jamaica, USA, and maybe Britain for some of our audience that's here, they're not doing too hot. But that doesn't matter. I don't care. When I watch the All Africa Games and I see their 100 or I see the 200, and some of their times are uh, pitifully slow, okay, great. That person still got that silver medal at that championships, and I'm gonna give them a props for that. So whoever shows up to the Asia Games, hey, they get a props for winning. Hey, look, that's a championship that's there. Go ahead and do it. The Pan Ams, whoever shows up there, that go to props there. Now, here's the thing that I'm gonna say here. Now, you said, and I quote, "Do you think Sha'Carri Richardson will end her career as one of the best athletes of all time? Like by the time she's retired, she can be put in the same conversation. Both Lewis, Frazier Price, and Gatlin." Okay, here's the thing. Part of being the greatest of all time is that you need to be known, right? Sha'Carri's got that in spades. She's gonna be loud. She's gonna be boisterous. She's even by being humble, just the things that she says. Here's the thing that's the powerful thing about Sha'Carri right now. All she gotta do, all she doing is saying a statement, and she's able to shut crap down. That's the stuff. She doesn't even, that's the thing that she's got now, the power behind her. She can say things to shut things down. Oh, we're all like goody goody and we're all friends with each other now, but when I wasn't doing well, it was us versus them and all of that. But now when we're winning over here in the US and I'm winning, now it's everybody's friends. How does that happen? If she could shut stuff down just by making a statement like that. She doesn't have to be boisterous anymore. But she can, and she can run away with it if she wins. If she wins consistently, that is, and she wins even faster times, and maybe set a world record, then it's all bars. The bars are broken down at this point. Dang, you said Gatlin won his first medal when you were 4 and retired when you were 22. Dang, man. You was born in 2000, huh? You said, I learned how to talk, ride a bike, drive, code, swim, sprint, and do taxes in that time. It's crazy. Hey, man, that's how the world is when you see some people. You grew up seeing some of these people. And that's how I was looking at some athletes in the NBA. And I'm like, man, at some point, I'm going to be the old person. All these people around growing up and aging up with me, I see people older than me in the league. I pointed out to my friend, I was like, you're going to be the old person now. You're going to be like the older people we see that are fans of these sports and they're talking. But getting back to Sha'Carri, some people are not going to like that I point this out, but there's kind of a thing that Jason Black even pointed out on his channel. Like, that things pass down genetically. There's a lot of things that pass down genetically. That's personality traits and everything. Because think about it. We don't breathe because we are consciously thinking. That's something that we do. Our heart rate is a certain speed. Our height, our skin color, our eyes, our intelligence levels, but we haven't reached the peak of our intelligence so that we've detected so far. So it seems like we could keep on growing. They've even done those studies. We could keep learning math all the way into our 70s. Did y'all know that? So we could keep improving and learning math into our 70s. Crazy. So when they say a person getting older and it's because they're not using their brain. Of course it's going to atrophy. If you could keep learning math and inventing new math and keep doing that to your 70s, what else can you do? So we can pass down the spirit of fighting back. And this is what we see with Black Americans compared to other nations. And I know this is going to make some people angry. Especially, I have a large Jamaican crowd here. But we quite frankly do not see that spirit and that energy with other nations outside. And Sha'Carri got that. And sometimes that is a misfire. She misfired before she spoke too soon, before she had a win under her belt. So therefore, she's like, hey, I'm doing this. It's like, sit down, chick. I was one of the people. Sit down until you win. earn your pathway to get there. And she's done it now. And she done it with a world championship record time, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Yeah, I think she did. She ran faster than Shelly Ann Fraser Price time. So it's like, okay, if she has that, that's part of what it takes. Bolt had that fire spirit in him. If he was breaking world records and he also didn't have that fighting spirit in him and that trash talking spirit in him and that whole persona and everything in him, he would not have been regarded as greatest of all time. I'm almost guaranteeing it. That's part of it. That is part of it. Because at first I'm like, okay, greatest of all time. You could greatest of all time. Me, I was like, greatest of all time should be the person that wins all the time. No, that's not actually it. Greatest of all time is you need to be known. Think of it this way. Beyonce is not the best singer, is she? Or is she? Because there are people that claim that they are better singers than her, but how come their sales ain't there? How come they're not worldwide being looked and sought after? How come they're not being sold out tickets and crowds and everything like that? How come they're not on that stage, but Beyonce is? Well, she got the connections. Okay, there's a bunch of y'all that claim that y'all better than Beyonce. How come at least one of y'all are not at that spot? At least one. There's a bunch of y'all that say y'all better than Beyonce. How come y'all not doing better than her right now? So right now, Beyonce's got to be the greatest because she's known. That's part of being the greatest of all time. Being known. Being able to put yourself in that spotlight. And Sha'Carri Richardson has got that spirit. Deion Sanders. That's why I say this is overtime right here. We've already finished our topic. Come to the next live stream where we're going to talk about what went right. I believe that's going to be on Monday. Don't hold me to it. Might be Sunday, might be Monday. But we're going to talk about what went right. That's the next live stream we're going to do. It's going to be around the same time, 6 p.m. or something like that. But Deion Sanders is doing something because he has the spirit of resistance that many of us have. I didn't really realize this until I got older. We in this country have to deal with so much freaking crap. We got to eat the crap so much. We got to be micromanaged. We are scrutinized with everything that we do so much. Me going somewhere saying that, hey, this person shouldn't be here. I got an in-school suspension for 2 weeks. I didn't realize it at the time. Now, I fought back. I was like, dude, you're black and you put me here. I didn't even touch anybody. These two were fighting. Then what they did was they said out of school suspension for 2 weeks. They changed that to an in-school suspension for 2 days. That's what they changed it to. This was me personally fighting that back. That was like, what, 6th grade. When I applied to work for the CIA, they brought it up. They were like, so we noticed that you had this on your record. What do you got to say about that? What does that say about you? I'm like, I didn't do anything, but yeah, we have that here. So we're used to being loud, boisterous, having to, we have to fight and scrape for every single thing. You're not used to that with other people from other countries. Quite frankly, it's either you're beaten down and you're just depressed. They do that really well in the United Kingdom. Like Great Britain, they just beat their population down. And I don't mean black people. I mean everybody. They're just so depressed over there. They got the spirit of depression. So they just fake in front all the time. They just like, we're so good because everybody's freaking depressed. So many of the people are saying that themselves. So they got the spirit of depression where they got to fake in front and steal and everything, resources from other people in order to be so great, quote unquote, right? But when you got a culture of fighting and everything, and the Chinese are now having that same thing, similar, that's where you can get the spirit of being the greatest of all time. I gave that longer one slightly, it seemed like it's off topic, but Sha'Carri, even if she doesn't break a world record, even if she doesn't have the amount of wins of Shelly Ann Fraser Price, and this is going to be a topic by itself. I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad you asked that question because I was trying to think of the title of how to do this video. And this is quite frankly why I didn't do a video in September like I said before. Because I was going to open up with this and I said, no, maybe I'll wait until Shelly Ann is about to retire to do this. Or I'll do it in between the next season. But Shelly Ann really did a lot of things right. And we have this question about why I'll get to your question about Asafa Powell in a second. People question about why Shelly Ann isn't more known. And even I had that question. Then I realized something. You know how y'all say in the comment section, and y'all come here and be like, well, Jamaica's humble. Is that anything to brag about? No, when you really think about it, is being humble something to brag about? Think about it. Is being humble and say we don't want to cause no trouble on the track, we just want to perform, is that something to brag about? Think about that for a second and let that sit in. Because the last time I checked, the Europeans are not humble whatsoever. They are not humble. If they get a win, they will blast it and signal boost that thing over and over and over. Look at Ingebrigtsen. Oh, that's also what went wrong this season. He lost to 1,500 thinking he was going to do better. But he didn't. I forgot. That was the one person I actually forgot to speak about that was on my list. But they're going to talk it up. Look at Ingebrigtsen. He's getting some sniff at winning. Even before he won, the dude is already trash talking it up. They will run away with this if you give them a chance. Talk about being humble. Where's the humble in Ingebrigtsen? Like, just point it out. When he loses, he's got something to say. Last year at the World Championships, he was like, man, this guy knows I'm better than him. That's literally what he said. He said, that man knows I'm better than him. I was a little bit distracted trying to take on old dude from Kenya. And we were going back and forth at it. I defeated myself. That's what happened. I didn't lose because he was better than me. I defeated myself. Where's the humbleness in that? Yeah, I wanted to work for the CIA. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. I was going to do IT. But anyway, not everybody that goes into these organizations are bad, by the way. But in any case, yeah, it might not be wrong to be humble, but when you got humble after humble after humble after humble, who do you remember on an international stage that's making a big splash? Usain Bolt. Who else? Think about it. If you are not Jamaican, right now in the comment section, either live or in the recording, who can you think about that has influenced other people? The Americans, the black Americans have influenced other people. When somebody that is not a black American comes to the USA, they typically adapt to that personality trait too, and then they influence other people. When's the last time you've seen it the other way around? I'm just asking a question. I know it's going to upset some people. I'm just asking a question because Shelly Ann should, in my opinion, be known more. How can she win that much? But her name, and I'm telling you right now, I can see it already. Her name, if not already, just in a second, will be overshadowed by Sha'Carri Richardson. Within the realm of track and field, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to say, hey, the all-time great, this person's won this many times. But to the regular fan outside of track and field that barely pays attention to the sport, that's who I'm talking about. Because that's how sports survive. That's how they thrive. They got to keep growing into new audiences that aren't like the super nerds that are inside of the... Because right now, believe it or not, y'all nerds for track and field. If you're here, you're a nerd for track and field. Like, this is after the season, and y'all listening to this live stream. This is a nerd for track and field. Regular other people that were the normies, they saw the world championships because a friend told them, and then they stopped paying attention right after that. That was it. They might have saw the Diamond League, maybe, and then they stopped paying attention. The super nerds that know everything about track and field that will be like, well, Nick, I got to correct you on that. The other person don't know that. The normies, they don't know that. That's who then makes or breaks the greatest of all time. They try to crown Europeans, white people, all the time as the king of pop. It doesn't work. Michael Jackson is the king of pop for a reason. Justin Timberlake, they tried and failed. Sit down. They tried another person, tried and failed. Every few years. They tried it earlier last year. Oh, the new king of pop. Huh? No, it doesn't work. Michael Jackson had a personality that stood out. So with Sha'Carri Richardson, yes, I do see her. If she's gonna have to get at least an Olympic title, in my opinion, or something, she's got to get at least 1 or 2 more wins under her belt, or a host of a bunch of medals. That's what she's gonna have to do, and then have the longevity of part of the time. If she just comes up, she gets a world record, and then she like comes and goes. Like even now, let's say she gets a world record at Paris with her personality type, and then retires. World record at Paris, gets a bunch of wins. World record, let's say world record in the one. She beats Sharika somehow, or maybe even a silver, but it will actually be better that she beats Sharika. Then she gets a gold in the 4x1. She gets a triple crown, 1 world record. Then she gets a win and triple crown, or even a silver. That combination could work. Then she retires. That could mark her as one of the greatest of all time right there. Why? Personality with the publicity, the fiery spirit, with the times, with the wins, will mark her as one of the greatest of all time. That's how that could happen. Ken said, yeah, but you got different media platforms. You said Jakob Himkabriskin. That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, you might have different media platforms overall. When you were commenting on what I said earlier, that still don't mean anything, because yeah, people have their own home ground stuff. But think of it this way. Remember that song? Okay, try this in the small town. The anti-black racist white supremacist song. Now, did you know that that song took the Michael Jackson Beat It riff? Like that whole thing was a whole psychological thing. They took the Beat It riff that didn't even last on the charts that long. Even within the circles like that, it did not last. It couldn't last on the Billboard's 100, top 100. You need the new people outside of that. They're not going to mark that as one of the greatest. Now, these media platforms, even some YouTubers might try to say, this is the greatest of all time, like the King of Pop thing crown. It's not going to work. Even the average person is not going to, they're not going to believe that. This 50 years of hip hop may or may not stick. I don't think that propaganda is going to work, because it's just not even real. People are not stupid. You might be able to get the kids, which is usually what these things are targeting, but it's not going to work. That's the same thing with Sha'Carri Richardson. She's got to have at least 1 more title if she gets a world record. If she doesn't get the world record, I believe she's got to get 2 100-meter titles. And then it's a wrap. She will be in that conversation solidified, whether anybody likes it or not. They're going to argue to the death, whether anybody likes it or not. FloJo, how many times did she make an appearance, yet she's got that crown as one of the greatest of all time? No. She's got one of the times of being one of the best sprinters, but she actually doesn't have the greatest all-time moniker behind her. You know, the track and field world is kind of quiet, but the average person, when they bring up FloJo, they, in their head, they're thinking, dang, she's one of the greatest. So in the track and field world, they kind of hush quiet about her, if you really be honest about it, for a bunch of different reasons. But outside of that, she's kind of got that moniker, because at least here in the U.S., before I even watched anything of track and field, I knew about FloJo. Before any of my friends watched anything about track and field, or even knew about any of the athletes, we knew about Flojo. Some of us knew about Michael Johnson, but we knew about Flojo for sure. Jesse Owens, Flojo, maybe Michael Johnson, but he was during the time, so that makes sense. And I'm talking about his kids. You're not watching the Olympics. You're not really paying attention. We know things. I knew things more about the NBA than I knew about other stuff as far as sports. And yet, that was in the conversation. That's what I mean. Somebody floating in your head. So that's what I have. That's a very long answer. Let me read some of these replies, and then we're going to hit the hay right now. We're going to hit the hay. But if you like the content here, definitely smash that like button. Share with other people. These are some of the hard conversations here. Oh, let me finish off with this. I guess this is the third time I'm saying it. You know, I got to say I'm about to go 3 times. Now, I kind of mentioned it and then I passed by, which Shelly Ann Fraser Price, because this deserves its own video. I'm still thinking about the title. I'm still thinking about the direction, but Shelly Ann should have been bigger. And the reason being is because she's kind of got the, you know how they say Jamaica is proud? Think about this. How are you a proud nation, but then you're also proud and humble? Like, you kind of argue about the win, but who are you arguing to win to? Are you arguing it to the British? Or are you arguing it to other black people? Think about this for a second. This is what I noticed. You're not arguing it to the British, because when they say something to you, kind of shut that down. But are you arguing it to other black people? Now, you might argue and say, well, we got a rivalry between the U.S. and Jamaica. Nah. Because the U.S. going to tell everybody and their mama, quite literally. Anybody come up to us, we about to sit this stuff down. It don't matter who it is. You think you, because like I said, we come up with every angle, every time. We open up a business. They do something called a nuisance injunction, which means if there's, quote, noise violations. They just, everything we do, they try to make it so that we close it down. Then they come around and say, well, why can't you do your business? Hit us with lawsuits. Send people that are also black to come out and pay them to make it look bad. To come there and make the establishment look bad. These are the things that we deal with so that we come up on an international stage and we're coming out guns a-blazing on basically everybody. And you kind of see it even with more humble athletes, even themselves. They kind of come out guns a-blazing when you put a mic in front of them. Shelly Ann Fraser Price didn't have that. Think about the Prefontaine thing. How many times did the Jamaicans, think about it, Shelly Ann, Elaine, and Sharika. You know how hard Nike was trying to cause at least a little bit of beef between them? What did they do? I said, this is what we need with the sport. That's literally what you need. You need to parry somebody. Somebody's hitting a ball to you, the tennis ball. You hit the ball back and forth, back and forth. They could be friends, personally, all whatever. I'm friends with my guy. If he lines up on a race, lines up on an 800 against me, I'm going to blow his bricks off. I'm going to trash talk him. He's going to trash talk me. If I run into a 400, a 100, or a 200 against him, he's like, yeah, you're not beating me. He'll laugh about it. He'll trash talk. He'll put it in front of a mic. He'll say it loud for everybody to hear. That's what we need in the sport. Yet, so many people are so focused on not doing that. About being like, man, I got to be nice. I just got to focus on the accomplishments. Yes, that's great for some people. But I'm talking about just from a brand perspective for Shelly Ann specifically. Because she doesn't have to do it. I'm just saying, I'm giving y'all a different perspective on it. What if she did lean into talking? Because she got all the right in the world, you would think. She could smile, and she could be like one of them deadly people that all they got to do is say 2 sentences, and it's like, damn, you dropped a bomb on them. You just kind of hurt me. Y'all know that? Y'all know when somebody, you having an argument with somebody, and they say something back to you, and you just feel stupid for like a whole day? If you ever had that, I had that happen to me. You just feel dumb for a whole day. Like Shelly Ann got the ability to do that. She's got so many wins behind her. She could just drop a bomb on somebody. You just be like, oh, really? And then say 1 sentence, Boom. Shut that stuff down. Now you gonna see Sha'Carri do that, and she's already doing it. She's eating it up. She's tearing territory away from other people that otherwise you would expect to have that brand recognition and everything like that. I'm just giving y'all a perspective here. Just think about that in your own lives. Sometimes, yeah, it's okay to be humble, but then sometimes you might want to brag a little bit. You might want to say, hey, let me set this stuff straight with y'all around here. Y'all not appreciating me in this household. Y'all not appreciating me at this job. You might say it in a different way. Obviously, every environment requires different words. You don't want to just come with a fire stick on everybody. But you might say, hey, I noticed some things about this around here. We're going to have that. And here's the final thing that I'm going to leave it off on, guys. I had started working in a factory. Kind of want to open up a factory. And now that I've finished doing the reconnaissance that I'm doing now, I'm trying to get a deal that they're going to pay for me to open up a factory in another country. I'm not going to say that because it hasn't followed through. But this, I can say this because it happened. And we're working, we got a couple Ukrainians there. We got some Haitians there. We got all types of people there. Now, the people that are not American are kind of like more, quote, humble right now. They're not confident. And I'm telling the guys, the guys are Haitian, the Haitian guys. There's one guy that's, man, this dude is jealous as heck of me. Everything I'm saying, he's got a word back to it. I'm like, dude, you acting real feminine and emotional. I told him. I said, this is just a job. I'm repeating what they said. So, we're doing this. So, now I might not have had to say those words. I'm very brash when it comes down to some of the stuff. So, that might not have been the best way to handle that. But I'm just like, dude, you kind of doing too much. And I said, since you know any better, since you know better, when he asked for my help, I said, you could do it yourself. Then he started asking me questions. He was afraid to talk to the white manager because he was afraid that they were going to tell him he's not doing his job. I said, dude, you're just asking a question for clarity. They're not going to tell you that you're not doing it. But this is this mindset. He's got all the smoke for me. None of the smoke for them. All the smoke for me. None of the smoke for them. I told him, dude, speak up. Speak up. You go ask them yourself. Because at first he kept asking me to ask people questions, and I'm doing it for him. Then I said, you know what? If I came up and I just established a meeting with the president of this organization, how come you can't just at least talk to the manager? I'm over here having meetings with some of the HR and some of the executives here, but you can't talk to a manager. What do you want to do with your life? Don't you want to do better? And I'm trying to push him so that he can do better. And I think that's sometimes what we see in the sports area is very easy to see, but it's very hard to see in our everyday average lives. And this channel is not just talking about sports. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. If you've been here long enough, you know that I talk about and try to relate things to real life. So when I'm talking about these things, these athletes, they're proxies to what we can do in our own lives. I want us to improve and not only just live through the athletes and say, hey, there's their accomplishments. I want some of us to come away and we are some millionaires, billionaires, 100,000aires that they're influencing their areas, put their money together, open up hotel resorts, not just letting everybody else open it up on our heads. That's what I want for us to happen. So when I use this sports channel, it's not just that. Y'all know me. Y'all know that I talk about other topics, although most people are not interested. That's fine. If it's only about the 7 people that are here or 6 people that are here that are interested in that, that's okay. If I can influence and help 8, 7, 10, 12 people out of maybe even I ever get to 50,000 or however many subscribers, I never care about counting that actually, to be honest. But if I got 5,000 subscribers and I only reach 5 people and I can influence you to the positive, that'll be good enough for me. So I use these athletes as a proxy to do that. Just that thing. So when you hear me talk about Sha'Carri, when you hear me talk about a Shelly Ann, those two dichotomies are what we want to do in our actual everyday life. You want to maybe be in between that. You want to be the fighter because Shelly Ann finally realized just recently, she wasn't doing this before, that she's got a brand behind her and she could sell her wigs and everything like that. Just imagine had she realized this only a decade sooner, where she would have been back in London when she was at the London Olympics, where she would have been back uh, even before Tokyo and stuff. What she could have done with herself, and then realizing, hey, I think I got the right to just kind of just chill and not care anymore. Because think about it, she's so happy and carefree that that's part of bragging. She's just like, I'm fine. Either way I take it, hey, I win, I lose, who cares? She's got that. Y'all don't even know. That's subconsciously like the attitude that Sha'Carri has, except she definitely want to win, but she's kind of being like, yeah, it don't matter what y'all say about me. That's what Shelly Ann is saying right now. Before, she cared about people's opinions, but now she doesn't. But it took her this long to get to that standpoint. And I want y'all to realize, these athletes, these people need to be doing this before that. You need to be coming up with the, I care about winning, but at the end of the day, if you got something to say about me, are you really influencing my life? Oh, that's what I thought. How about you sit down and do your journalist job like you're supposed to do? Why don't you go to them? So, there you go. Let me read the final comments and then we're off. Said, yeah, we're track and field nerds. She'll have to win 200 meters to be good. Don't you bring more pressure on yourself if you fail? Oh, that's a question, I guess. Yeah, you do bring more pressure onto yourself if you trash talk and fail. Yes, there is more pressure. But guess what? Sha'Carri Richardson, like I even pointed to her YouTube channel. All you gotta do is listen to her words. She said she got into a space like she was when she used to be carefree. She went into that carefree mode, and we saw it. I said, up. I saw it. I saw it when I saw that video. I think she posted it in like December of 2022 or something. Then I saw it like a month or two later. When she did that, I knew it. I was like, yeah. If she comes out and she's running some of these races real well, or maybe she did it in February. I don't know. Earlier this year, I did a video on it. It's one of the more recent videos in my videos anyway. But when she did that, I said, oh, this is where it is. She stopped caring. It's the balance of not caring yet caring. You got to have the drive to do what you are set out to do. If you want to get that CDL and those other accreditations, you want to get all of those things, you got to have the drive to do it, but you got to not care what other people are saying about you when you're on your pathway to get there. That's what it is. Because she was caring too much about what other people were saying on the pathway of getting to where she was getting. That's what it is. If you care about what other people are saying about you on the pathway there, you might just get distracted. Because remember this, there's a bunch of people that want you to end your relationship, to put it that way. There's a bunch of women that are failed, broke, dusty, and everything that are wanting other women that are married to get out of their relationship. They got nothing to do with them, but yet they will come, leave that man. You shouldn't be working all those hours and doing this. Man, if that was me, yeah, if that was you, that's why you over there dusty. That's why you over there alone, and you want somebody else to join you. Now, there's a bunch of men that do a similar thing, not usually telling people to leave women, but they'll do this. They can't defeat you in your pathway. They're dusty, bummy, everything else. They don't want to do anything better, but they'll talk your freaking ear off in circles and babble and babble and babble. When you talk about something productive, yeah, man, I want to do that too. What? That's the type of thing that they would do. We see this in the sports world to a smaller extent. I'll leave it at that with that one, with the pressure thing. We'll leave it at that because it's people that will distract you. A failure can never actually defeat you, but what they can do, other bar killing you, and some countries are full out failures, so they do coups on other people because they fail so bad, they got to keep you down below them. Shout out to France, Britain, US, all of them. But anyway, outside of that, a failure can't stop you, so they'll distract you as much as they can by random conversation. Yeah, and they say, yeah, I feel athletes should brag just a bit to get themselves out there. Now, people didn't like that comment that I just said about the women being dusty, bummy, and everything, ending people with their relationships. I lost some people right there. I lost like 3-4 people. So, oops. But anyway, I will end this stream right now. I appreciate everybody that came out today. We're going to be back on either Sunday, Monday ish, about 6 p.m. Definitely it's going to be 6 p.m. though, Central USA time. And we're going to talk about what went right in this 2022-2023 season. If you support the channel, I appreciate it through your likes, through the super chat. Shout out to Ken M again with the super chat. Share this with other people. We are coming back, and we're coming back strong. There's going to be some differences. I don't have any expectations here. I'm going to tell you that with whether people come out. If it's 0 people that come out to a live stream, or if it's 10,000 people that come out to a live stream, I'm going to put the content out here that I set out that I want to put out. I will adjust it, obviously, to the audience because I want to put out good quality content. But I won't do it with the aspect of, oh, I need everybody to be around me, or I need the channel to be where it was when I first started. I don't expect that. I don't even think it will happen because I have a brand that's not trustworthy right now. I say I'm going to do something and I don't follow through. So that I have to reprove to you guys that I'm going to come back. So I'll catch you all on the next one. Thank you guys for coming out. Peace out.